Section 5.5. Calculate the cost of owning a home. This video will help you calculate the cost of owning a home. So mortgages, car loans, saving accounts, etc. are all calculated using compound interest. The compound interest formula gets really complicated when payments are worked into it. To avoid these complicated formulas, we're going to be using a free phone app that does all the calculations for us. And this is the same phone app we used before. This is the Easy Financial Calculator app. So if you haven't downloaded that, go ahead and pause the video now and follow these steps here. Got 4 steps for you here. Follow those steps to download and get the app. If you've already got it, then we can just keep rolling on. So most likely a house is the largest purchase you'll ever make. You'll want to know how much house you can afford and if buying a house makes sense for you. While owning a home allows you to build equity, it has many upfront and long-term costs. And here are the costs that you need to consider when you're owning a home. So the first one is a down payment. And on a house, it's a partial payment of the actual house, and usually 10 to 20% of the purchase price, with the balance of the house to be paid later, and the balance is usually what gets financed. So closing costs are usually 2 to 5% of the house purchase price and are charged by the lender and third parties related to the purchase of the home. Credit report, loan paperwork, house and survey inspections, title insurance, and home appraisal are some of the closing cost fees, and the buyer usually pays the closing costs. A mortgage is a legal agreement in which a person borrows money to buy property and agrees to pay it back over a period of years. Until the mortgage is paid, the lender owns the property. So that's very important. Until you pay that last cent on your mortgage, the bank owns your home. So mortgages are typically 10 to 30 years, and the lender usually requires property insurance as part of the loan requirements because they don't want the home to go without property insurance. If it burns down, they want to make sure that their interest is covered. So they always require you to have property insurance. All right, now let's take a look at an example where we're going to be buying kind of this hypothetical home, and we'll start to look at all of these costs and see how they come together. So example 1, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for sale with an attached garage is $167,000. Calculate the upfront costs of buying this house and then calculate the monthly costs for owning this house to see if it's a good financial decision. So let's take a look at the upfront costs. So first of all, they're accepting 8% below the asking price. So if they're accepting 8% below the asking price, it means we're going to pay 92% of what they're asking. So as our growth factor then, that's 0.92. So I'm going to take 0.92 times 167,000. So they are going to take 153,640 for the sale price. Now, once we calculate the sale price, all of our calculations now are going to be based on this sale price. The down payment, all of the closing cost fees, everything is going to come from this sale price. So that's why it's really important, if you can, to negotiate a home down a little bit, because once you negotiate the price down, that lowers all of these other calculated prices as we work our way along. Okay. So a 15% down payment. So I want to take that number, 153,000 times 640, and take 15% of that. So I'm going to multiply that times 0.15, and that's going to give me $23,046. Closing cost fees include credit report, loan paperwork, house payments, survey inspections, title insurance, and home appraisal. The buyer usually pays closing costs. So closing costs range from 2% to 5%. So we're going to figure out 2% of our home price. So I'm going to take 153,640 times 0.02, and that's going to give me 3,072.80. And then I'm also going to do 5%. So 153,640 times 0.05 is going to give us $7,682. So now we're going to put together the total upfront costs for owning this home. So our total upfront costs are the down payment, and on the low side are closing costs, and the high side of our closing costs. So that gives us our range. So I'm going to take 23,000 plus 3,072. All right, so on the low side of things, our upfront costs are going to be 26,100. $118.80. Okay, and on the higher side of things, when I add the down payment plus the $7,000 for a 5% closing cost, I get $30,728. That means to buy this house, I'm going to have anywhere saved. I'm going to have all the way up to basically $30,000 saved if I want to purchase this home. So now we've gotten through the initial upfront costs. Now let's look and investigate the monthly costs of owning this home. So first we need to figure out how much we're going to finance. So we want to take the sale price, which was $153,640, and subtract our down payment, which was $23,46. And so what we have left to pay on this house is $130,594. So we've applied for and received two mortgage offers. The first one is a 15-year mortgage. The second is a 30-year mortgage. And so we're going to use our Easy app now to calculate these things, how much the payments are going to be. So I'm just going to use the regular loan calculator here. You don't have to use any of the other ones, the home mortgage or anything like that. Just use a regular loan calculator here. So the loan amount for the first one here for the 15-year is going to be $130,594. The interest rate is going to be 3%, and I can just enter that as a percent, so 3% here. The loan term is going to be for 15 years. And so I have that, and so I'm just now going to calculate this. And so my monthly payments are going to be $901.86, and the interest I'm going to get charged for a 15-year mortgage is going to be $31,740.80. All right, now I want to do the same thing for a 30-year mortgage. So I'm going to keep the loan amount the same. The interest rate is going to bump up to 3.75. And now I'm going to do this for 30 years. And you usually pay a little bit longer, higher interest rate for a longer loan. So let's see, I've got all of that stuff entered in there. And so here my payments are going to be $604.80. And my interest charged here is going to be a lot more. It's going to be $87,134. So how much overall interest will it cost you to choose the 30-year mortgage? So I'm going to take this $87,134 and subtract from it $31,740.80. And the 30-year mortgage is going to cost an extra $55,393.30. Okay, so there are my choices. And see, you can always see that if you can swing it, getting a 15-year mortgage is always in your best interest, because obviously saving $55,000 over the life of your home there is a lot of money to be investing just to pay, $300 less each month. That's a lot of money to pay for that. Mortgage payments are only part of the costs of owning a home. The tax rate in this city is 2.25% of the home value each year. Using the sale price and this rate, what is the monthly cost in taxes? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sale price, which was $153,640, and I want to multiply that times 2.25%. So that's going to be 0.0225 as a decimal. And so that's going to be $3,456.90. But now I want to write this as a monthly cost. That's how much it costs for the year, that $3,000. So I want to divide that by 12. So every month in taxes, I'm going to have to pay $288 and looks like 8 cents for every month just for taxes on this house. Okay, continuing with some home ownership costs. You will need to purchase insurance to cover the house each year you own it. Home replacement insurance usually costs about 0.4% of the home value. So we want to calculate that and turn it into a monthly cost. So I'm going to take that $153,640, the sale price, times 0.4%, so that's 0.004. And I get $614.56, and I want to divide that by 12 to turn it into a monthly cost. So that's going to be $51 $1,000,000.21. All right. Maintenance and repair are important for keeping your home nice and protecting your investment. The 1% rule states that you should plan on saving 1% of the home's value each year to pay for maintenance and repairs. At this rate, what is a monthly cost for maintenance and repairs? So going back to the original price, $153,640 times 0.01, and that's going to be, so we want to turn it to a monthly rate, so I got $1,536.40, but I want to divide that by 12, so I get a monthly rate, so that's $128.03. So now what I want to do is I want to add all of this up to kind of get a total of monthly costs at a 15-year mortgage and a total for all the monthly costs for a 30-year mortgage. So I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to add my monthly payments for the 15-year, which is $901.86, plus the taxes, $288.08. Okay, and then I'm going to add to that insurance, which is $51.21, and then I'm going to add to that the savings to upkeep the house. So the total cost, if I get a 15-year mortgage, is going to be $1,369.18 per month. All right, now let's do the same thing with the 30-year, except now instead of adding the 15-year payments, I'm going to use the 30-year payments in there. Okay, when I do that for the 30-year mortgage, I get $1,072.12. Now, once we come up with our monthly payments, we need to figure out, can we afford this home? So it is not enough to qualify for a loan. The housing bust in 2008 was caused by banks extending too much credit to homeowners, lending them too much money that they couldn't afford to pay back. So as a general guideline, the total monthly costs, mortgage, taxes, maintenance budget, insurance, and all the other expenses should not exceed 28% of your gross monthly income. And gross means before taxes. So it should not exceed 28%. So if you earn $56,000 a year, can you afford either the 15-year or 30-year mortgage? Use calculations to support your answer. All right, let's take a look at this. So we want to find 28% of $56,000. So I'm just going to take 56,000 times 0.28, and that's going to give me 15,680, and I want to divide that now into 12 because this is a yearly salary, $56,000 a year. I found 28% of that. Now I want to divide that by 12. So I turn that into a monthly amount. And so this is what I come up with for my monthly pre-tax money. Okay, this is 28% of what I earn each month. So I want to compare this to my costs up here. For the 15-year mortgage, okay, so taking a look now, this is what my payments were for the 15-year mortgage. When I included everything there, it was $1,369.18, and you can see we've exceeded 28% of our monthly budget. So we won't be able to afford the 15-year mortgage, but we will be able to afford the 30-year mortgage based on this information. So at this point, we would decide whether we want to pull the trigger and buy this house and choose a 30-year loan, or maybe pick another house that's a little bit cheaper, because you can see we're really close here, 1306, 1369.18. We're very close to affording that 15-year mortgage, which is a real advantage. So after doing these calculations, which is what you want to do before you buy a home, you might go back to the homeowner and say, hey, look, we're really close on the price, but we're not going to be able to afford it. Can we lower the price a little bit so we could get it within this range here? Or we might go take a look at another house and buy one that's more in our range. Save ourselves an extra $55,000 with avoiding that 30-year mortgage. Okay. Furthermore, your overall debt obligations should not exceed 36% of your gross monthly income. If you earn $56,000 a year and your only other debt is an auto loan for $390 per month, can you afford either the 15-year or 30-year mortgage? So it's also not, you can't just base it on totally like your salary and the cost of the home, because people live differently and have different sorts of expenses. So there's another rule of thumb that says we're not supposed to exceed 36% with all of our expenses, all of our debt obligations here. We're not supposed to exceed 36% of our gross monthly income. So now we're going to take 56,000 times 0.36 and take that and divide it by 12 to turn it into a monthly amount. So we've got, here's 36% each month is $1,680. And so now we've got this auto loan as well that we pay $390 a month. So we would have to add that. Now 15 years already out, but we want to check and make sure that this 30 years is still going to work. So we're going to take $1,072.12 and add this auto loan to it. So we come up with $1,462.12. So that's what our costs are going to be, and we can see we're well inside of that 36%. So we will be able to afford the 30 years. So we can afford the 30 years still, even with our car payments. All right, now it's time to pause your video player and try one of these on your own. We're going to take it in parts. So the first thing I think we'll do here is do your total upfront costs. So do everything that's shown here on this practice problem, and then hit play and see how you did, and then we'll kind of catch up and we'll take it in parts. Because what you don't want to do is make a mistake in the opening here, because that will make all the further calculations incorrect as well. All right, practice problem 2. 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house is for sale with a 1.5 stall garage, and they're asking $115,000 for it. Calculate the upfront cost for buying this house, and then calculate the monthly costs and see if it's a good financial decision. So first of all, upfront cost. They accept 8% below the asking price. So if they accept 8% below, we're going to have to pay 92%, which as a growth factor is 0.92. So I'm going to take 0.92 times 115,000. And so they are going to take $105,800. Now that is our sale price. So this is what we want to use in all of our calculations that follow. So now we want to take a 15% down payment. So I'm going to take that number times 0.15. So our 15% down payment is 15870. So $15,870. Closing fees, 2%. Okay, so our closing costs range from 2%, $2,116, to $5,290 if it comes to 5%. Okay, total upfront costs range from, if we get 2% on the closing costs, will be $17,986, and if we end up being higher on the closing costs, we could end up being as high as $21,160. Okay, let's go ahead and pause your video player again now and answer all of these questions shown in this part. And when you're done, hit play to see how you did. All right, let's take a look now at some of these answers. So the amount we financed, if we take the sale price minus our down payment, we should have come up with $89,930. Now when we go to our Easy Phone app calculator now, and we're going to calculate the monthly payments on a 15-year mortgage at 3% interest, that would be $621.04. And then also you'll see on your screen that it shows you how much interest you're being charged for that loan. And so that was $21,857.20 for the 15-year mortgage. Now we go ahead and make a few slight adjustments for the 30-year mortgage, change the interest rate to 3.75%, make it a 30-year mortgage. Now our payments are $416.48, and then the total interest charge then is $60,002.80. Next question then, how much more overall interest will it cost if we choose the 30-year mortgage? Well, you can see if we choose the 15-year mortgage, we are paying an interest of $21,857. 30-year mortgage, we're paying $60,000. So we find the difference between those two. It's $38,145.60. So you can see quite a bit more to choose that 30-year mortgage. Okay, now we're going to go to some some other monthly costs. These are just the monthly costs we looked at right now, are just for the payments on our house. Now we also have to consider the tax rate in the city, and in this case, our city, the tax rate is 1.5%. So if we take 1.5% of our sale price and then divide that by 12 to turn it into a monthly cost, we'll see that we get $132.25. A lot of times students make a mistake there and write down the overall tax cost for the year, but remember we want to divide that by 12 to turn it to a monthly payment. Same thing in the next question here. We want to make sure we divide that by 12 as well. So we need to purchase insurance to cover the house, and it's usually about 0.4%. So we're going to multiply it by 0.004 there as a percentage times the sale price, divide that by 12, and we end up with $35.27 per month. Okay, so now on the next page there's going to be some more questions on the monthly cost of home ownership. So now go ahead and go to the next page and work through just the monthly cost of home ownership. Stop before we go to can you afford this house. At that point we'll stop and we'll check your answers. So go ahead now, pause your video player and work those questions. Okay, taking a look now at maintenance. We use the 1% rule for maintenance, and if we take 1% of the sale price and divide it by 12, we'll get $88.17. Now what we want to do is we want to get the total monthly costs for both the 15-year and the 30-year mortgage. So with the 15-year, we would go back and start with our payments for the 15-year and then add all these other additional costs onto it. And we see then, if we add those all up, we'll get $876.73 per month. If we do the same thing now for the 30-year mortgage, we'll get a total overall cost then, monthly cost of $672.17. Now we want to go through and calculate to see if we can afford this home. So go ahead. You can see we've got 28% here, and we're earning $35,000 a year. So go ahead now and pause your video player now and go through and do the calculations for can we afford this house. And when you're done, hit play to see how you did. Okay, let's take a look now and see if we can afford this house. So if we take 28% of our grossly month income, so what we want to do is we want to first take $35,000 and divide it by 12, then take that income and multiply it by 28%. We'll come up with this calculation here of $816.67. So that's 28% of our grossly month income. So what we want to do now is we want to compare that to our two overall home costs, monthly home costs. And you can see here that we're not quite enough to get this 15-year mortgage here, but we can afford the 30-year mortgage. So very similar situation to the example there, where we can't do the 15, but we can do the 30. So let's also now look at the overall debt obligation. And if we look at the overall debt obligation down here, for the 15 years, we take the cost of the home plus this $205 car payment, which is $1,081. And then the 30-year payments, they're $672 plus our $205 car loan, we get $877.10. If we take 36% of our grossly month income, so I've done more than just I took 36% of $35,000 and then divided by 12 to get it to be monthly, that is $1,260. So according to the 36% rule here, I can afford either home. So we're kind of getting a little bit of conflicting information here. So it says, you know, we're a little bit over if we look at home costs, but when we look at overall debt costs here, we're under. So this is a scenario where we might want to investigate our budget and examine our budget a little bit more to see if we can actually afford the 15-year mortgage. Another option here, if I was in this situation too, is to buy the 30-year mortgage, to get the 30-year mortgage, but then pay more, because if you pay more, overpay on your loan will go down. So you'll still be paying a little bit higher interest rate. I think it was 3.75 instead of 3. But if we made extra payments on it, like let's say maybe we get the 30-year mortgage, but we try to go ahead and make payments of, you know, where are our payments up here? That was on the other page there. We just try to make maybe the amount that we could on the 15-year mortgage, overpaying, and then we would pay the low down more quickly and not have to pay as much interest. Also in that scenario, then, if we got in a situation where we were a little tight for money, we could bump that payment back and just make the minimum payment, which was like $400 or something like that, is the payment on the house. So another option there is to kind of get a 30, but then overpay when you can or when it's convenient. So I might look at those three options: examine the budget a little bit more, maybe pick the 30 and overpay, or see if I can actually do this 15-year mortgage. So those are places kind of where the calculations help us make a decision, but they're not actually telling us exactly what to do, because it's kind of a little in between here. Okay, so that takes care of it for 5.5. I think you're ready now to go ahead and work on the exercises.